Hey everybody, I'm Andy Anderson and welcome to the Truth About Prosperity class number 3. We are at class number 3. This has been an amazing few weeks and I'm so excited to be here with you again for class number 3. We've had some really amazing breakthroughs you guys have been sharing with us in the Facebook group and on private message, and this is just so exciting to actually see and witness the results you guys are creating as a result of this coaching program. So it's really, really exciting. And this is another great week of amazing content. So I can't wait to dive in with you. So again, like the last couple of classes, we're going to just dive into the content and talk about a bunch of things. And we'll probably keep it a little shorter than the last couple of classes because I know I've hammered you with tons and tons of information on the last couple of classes, so we'll keep it a little shorter, and then I'll open it up to questions at the end just like last time. So post those questions in the Facebook group as I go on. If anything comes to you in the next however many minutes this takes, just post that in the Facebook group and I will get to your question near the end. So I just want to remind you that this, you signed up for this group coaching, this 4 weeks of group coaching about prosperity. And this is the opportunity for you all to post in the Facebook group, to ask questions, to get your questions answered, to get help. If you need help uncovering financially limiting or disempowering beliefs, or you're not sure where to start, or you're snagged or anything like that, that's what the Facebook group is for. So please post in the Facebook group. I can't wait to hear from you. And we've heard from so many people in the last week especially, and a lot of people have private messaged Ike and me asking questions, and it's been really, really exciting. So just keep up that great momentum. And again, if you don't want to post publicly in the group, totally understand. So if you prefer to just private message me or Ike, we are checking our messages regularly. So I just want to do a quick recap of the class number 1, just to recap for you guys what we covered there. If you haven't watched class number 1 and or 2, they're both in the Facebook group posted in there. So definitely go back and watch those 2 classes. The first class was incredibly important, as are all of them, but the first class we really dove into something very important, which was the ROI, or return on investment process tool that we introduced you to. And we did this in the very first class for a very specific reason, because this is such an important tool for you to start applying in your life in order to get rid of those limiting beliefs, uncover those limiting beliefs, and then replace them with prosperity generating beliefs. So I hope you all are applying that tool. And again, if you need any help, if you're overwhelmed by it or whatever's going on, just please message us. We're here for you. We are totally here for questions and everything else. I'm just going to take a quick look at the Facebook page and the Hangout here, and we are doing well. Okay. So again, go back to that replay if you haven't seen that first class yet, and or the second class. And the second class was a class where we dove into, this was last week, we talked about what's the truth, right? Like, we talked about the truth about your thoughts and beliefs about money. We talked about 2 very different kinds of thoughts and beliefs, right? Financially empowering thoughts and financially disempowering thoughts. So if you haven't listened to that class, please go back and listen to that. Really important stuff here. And one of the biggest things that we uncovered last week was the recognition that you are not your thoughts. And this is a really powerful thing to get. So if you're having the experience of thoughts around disempowering thoughts around money, your finances, or whatever you're having, just get that you are not your thoughts. And when you get that, it's so powerful to start, taking action in your life when you understand that you are not your thoughts. And remember that you are not your thoughts unless you choose to become them, unless you choose to start identifying with whatever's coming through your head. You are not your thoughts. So I just wanted to recap that because it's so important, and I want you to keep thinking about that through tonight's call also, because it's just so important to get that you are not your thoughts. And it is a massive relief when you're having thoughts, or you're judging the thoughts that you're having, you feel like you're just being bombarded by thoughts. We all have this. We all have this human experience, right, of thoughts coming into our awareness. And it's up to us, and we have the power to choose as individuals what we want to do with those thoughts, right? Do we want to just let them go? Do we want to recognize them as a disempowering thought and replace it with something empowering, something that's going to help us make more money in our lives, so something that's going to help us create a more prosperous quality of life? So we as individuals have the power of that. So it's an important thing to remember. So, and again, if you haven't watched class 2, go back and watch that replay. Oh, we also talked about last week how a thought actually becomes a physical experience in your life, right? So if you're having a thought of, you know, I can become a successful business person or entrepreneur, or I can get a raise at my job, we actually talked about what steps that thought, you know, this kind of ethereal thing that's not tangible, how it actually becomes into something tangible, how it becomes a physical result in your life, how thoughts actually become things, how thoughts actually turn into financial prosperity. It's another thing we talked about last week. So also, just during this next however many minutes we're on this call, share your breakthroughs. If you've had breakthroughs in the last week, if you've applied the ROI process tool and you've had experienced breakthroughs, you've taken inspired actions and you're having the experience of greater prosperity in your life, or you're opening up to greater possibilities, share that in the Facebook group. Because again, when you share that, you're inspiring and motivating others in the group. You're showing them what's possible. And so we can, you know, read those after I go through the lessons and stuff today before we get to the questions. So please share. I'd love to hear it. We heard some really great things this week. I tell you, like, it's such amazing things to witness when you guys are starting to have these aha moments and getting that you are not your thoughts, and getting that you can apply this ROI process tool to your limiting thoughts and turn them around into something that generates prosperity. So super exciting stuff. Okay, so a quick overview of tonight's class. Again, this is the third class among 4 in our 4-week Truth About Prosperity coaching program. And tonight we're going to talk about how do we continue uncovering your prosperity blind spots, okay? So prosperity blind spots, these are these things you can't see because you're blind to them, right? These are these things you're not yet aware of and that you can become aware of by uncovering them. We're also going to dive into how to become aware of what you're not aware of, right? As it relates to money, as it relates to your relationship with money, as it relates to your spending patterns, as it relates to investing, all these different kinds of things. Whatever your relationship with money is, going to help you become aware of what you're not aware of yet, right? Of your blind spots. We're going to help shine light on your blind spots as it relates to prosperity. And we're also going to just continue transforming all those old stories you have, all those beliefs of scarcity, of limitation, of lack, into a new reality for you, a new reality of prosperity for you and all of the people that you love and interact with. So let's dive into that. So blind spots, this is a really fun topic. So, right, just like when you're driving down the road in your car, instead of driving down the car, right, you have blind spots, right? You look this way, you check your mirrors, right, but you can't see right back over here in the corner, so you have to check your blind spot. So similar to having these blind spots when you are driving down the road in your car, you have psychological blind spots, and we all have them, right? So the whole goal of this program, the whole goal of these 4 weeks is to help you become aware and to actually start to see what those blind spots are, because then they won't be blind spots anymore. So again, these are parts of your mind, right? Parts of your mind that you aren't aware of. You just don't see them yet. Right, and I'll bet you, right, there's been a lot of things in your mind, in your life that you weren't aware of, but you gradually became aware of, right? So this is the same process. Just like when you didn't know the alphabet, or you didn't know how to count from 1 to 100 when you were a kid, right? You weren't aware of how to do that yet. You weren't aware it existed yet. So this is the same kind of stuff. So we're going to apply that same kind of learning and becoming aware of things to your relationship with money. So here's the thing, being willing to uncover these blind spots is an incredibly important part of doing what it takes to start experiencing more prosperity in your life. And you know, I've talked a little bit about this for the past couple of weeks, but again, being your willingness and the fact that you're listening to this right now, the fact that you're on this call, the fact that you were inspired and you chose to sign up for this coaching program shows me that you are willing. You're willing to push through. You're willing to actually create change in your life, and you're willing to actually start experiencing that greater level of prosperity. So it takes willingness. That's the first step, is willingness. And you know, we talked a little bit about this last week. Ike and I shared with you, right, the quantum momentum accelerator, right? So once you start to unearth one blind spot you have about money, you're going to start to unearth a lot of them, and it can happen really fast. If you're willing to just push on through and keep applying the ROI process to your limiting beliefs, it's going to keep happening more quickly and more quickly, that quantum momentum accelerator. So let's take a look at blind spots, right? But before we do that, let's just take a look at, well, what are you not blind to? So what are all the things in your life that you're not blind to, that you are aware of, that aren't actual blind spots in your life? Because each of us holds an incredible amount of knowledge right up here. We know so many things, and we have so much awareness in our mind that we've generated from being in school, from being a child, from our parents, from growing up, from all the different jobs we've had or business endeavors we've experienced or any life experience we've had. We have a lot of awareness and knowledge in our minds. And, it might be from, the fastest way for you to get from point A to point B and wherever you live, right? That, during rush hour, you take a different route home. This is all awareness. You store all of this in your mind. You store the very basics of awareness of being a human being, right? You're aware that you need food, you need water in order to survive in this world, right? As a human being. So all of these things are stored in your mind. And so these are things that you're aware of, right? You're aware of these things. These are things you are aware of. So what about the stuff that you're aware you're not aware of? Right, let's take a look at this. And I am diving into blind spots here in just a moment, so bear with me. So let's first, we talked about what you're aware of, right? And now let's talk about what you're aware you're not aware of. So let's say, for example, you might be aware there's a branch of science called quantum physics, right? You might be aware, oh yeah, I've heard that before, I know that exists, but probably you might not understand all the intricacies of quantum physics or the theories or the name of 10 famous quantum physicists or the history of this branch of science or whatever it is. So all of this information that I'm just talking about, right, about quantum physics, it would go into the category of information that you're aware you're not aware of. And I'll say it again because I know the language gets a little confusing, or it can be. So this is stuff that you're aware you're not aware of. You're aware that you don't know what's over there, right? You're aware that quantum physics exists, but you're not aware of how it works or, the intricacies, all those kinds of things. Now, of course, if you are a quantum physicist and you're listening right now, this does not apply to you, and you are aware of quantum physics and all of its intricacies in history. However, most of us probably aren't quantum physicists, so that's why I, go into an example like this. So it doesn't apply to most of us. So I'm going to take a quick look at our pages here. No questions or anything yet. All right, so let's now talk about the information you are aware you are not aware of, right? Once again, I'm going to repeat this because the language gets a little tricky. This is stuff you are not aware you're not aware of, right? You are not aware that this information exists at all, right? And here's the thing. There is more information in this part of your mind, in this part of your awareness than you could even imagine right now, right? So this is a really interesting thing to get. Our minds are full of all sorts of things that we're not even aware we're not aware of yet. And so this is where your blind spots exist. So I wanted to go through all those different levels of awareness to show you that's what a blind spot is. It's the stuff that you are not aware you're not aware of yet. But the whole point of this, once again, is to uncover your blind spots so you do become aware of this. And this huge area of your mind, this is where your key to freedom, to fulfillment, to prosperity, that's where this exists. So that's why it's so exciting to talk about blind spots tonight, because this is where you can tap into that prosperity. It's just becoming aware of these blind spots. So if you think about it, right, the three examples I just gave you, right? So we've got what you're aware of, right? What you're aware you're not aware of, and then what you're not aware you're not aware of. Again, I will say this one more time. So those are three little pieces of your mind. If you think of it as like a big pie chart, if you're taking the Truth About Prosperity program, we actually have a diagram of this pie chart in the program itself. So if you're taking it, you can reference it later. But again, three areas, right? The area of your mind that you're aware of, right? That's all the stuff you're aware of. And then there's the stuff that you're aware you're not aware of, like the quantum physics stuff, right? And then there's the stuff that you're not aware you're not aware of. Again, that is the biggest section, and that's the section where all your blind spots exist. So Another way you could look at blind spots, you know, we've talked a lot about many things in the past couple of weeks, right? What do we tell ourselves, right? This is stuff that we're uncovering what we tell ourselves. We're uncovering disempowering beliefs and financially limiting thoughts and things like that, right? So another way you can look at what you tell yourself is if you're not aware of what you tell yourself yet about money, then that's a blind spot. So you can also look at these blind spots as areas you're out of integrity with yourself. Now, I want to just take a minute. You know, anytime I mention the word integrity, and I've done this in the past couple classes too, a lot of times people have a, you know, perceived negative reaction to this word, right? So let's check in. Let's check in right now. So because again, the number one most important thing you can do in this journey, in your journey to prosperity, is to be aware of what you're thinking, right? To be aware of the thoughts coming in, be aware of your beliefs. So right now, just check in with yourself. What are you thinking? How are you doing? Just take a look. Just start being aware of what you're thinking right now as I talk about, right, blind spots being areas where you're out of integrity with yourself. So just wanting you to, you know, this is just a way to encourage yourself to start paying attention, you know, this could be taking an example of taking a break in your workday at your job or whatever business you're in or whatever you do, just taking a break and taking a look at, you know, what are you thinking? What are you telling yourself in this moment? That's how you become aware of all of this information, all of these stories. That's how you become aware of where you're out of integrity with yourself. So, and again, this is, you know, when you actually start to look within yourself for your answers, because so many people, right, it's very much human nature to look outside of ourselves for our answers. Oh, they have the answer over there, or this person has the answer over there. But when you start actually looking within you for your answers, you're going to find out, just like I've been saying for the past couple of classes, that you have more than likely been telling yourself and believing in things and thoughts that are financially limiting, right? That are disempowering stories that have negatively affected your success in life, and they're negatively affecting your fulfillment. And when you tell yourself these things in this way, this is what gets you out of integrity with yourself. This is what actually creates conflict in your body. So integrity is a really good way of looking at this. If you can see, right, we're actually being not truthful to ourselves when we tell ourselves something true, right? We're really lying to ourselves, and by doing that, we are falling out of integrity with who we are. So let's shout out an example here, right? Let's say another common example is maybe you're telling yourself that, oh, I'm happy with, you know, my current level of money or whatever money I'm bringing in my job or my business. But the truth for you is you have been unhappy for years, and it's just eating away at you. That's what your truth is. So if you'll see, right, in this example, I've given you the first 2 steps of the ROI process tool, right? You could be telling yourself, that's step number 1, that you're happy with how much money you're making. And the truth for you is, which is step number 2, is you're actually not happy with what you've been making, and you've been lying to yourself and pulling yourself out of a space of integrity with yourself, creating that conflict within yourself. That's why it's so important to start shining the light on this stuff. So maybe here's another example. Maybe you're telling yourself that if you have a job right now and you really, really want to be an entrepreneur, you want to start your own business, or you have a side business or something, but you could be telling yourself, I need to keep my job. Right? And maybe you've been telling yourself this for 10 years and you're still at your job. You're still feeling stuck because you keep telling yourself, I need to keep my job, right? So that's, I tell myself I need to keep my job. And then the truth for you is, again, step number 2 of the ROI process tool is you are financially ready to move forward and pursue that side business that you've been working on 100% of the time. You just need to take the leap, and the net will appear, right? That old Zen proverb, take the leap and the net will appear. So now that doesn't apply to everybody, because it's certainly not for everybody to just quit their job and dive into a new career without being prepared. Some people can do that, some people can't do that. So I'm not recommending you do that, but just check in with yourself. If you're somebody who has been telling themselves, I need to have a job in order to take care of myself or my family financially, well, is that really true? Do you need that? Could you put things in action if you are interested in becoming an entrepreneur or having your own business and being your own boss? Could you put things in action to prepare to leave that job? And then when it's time to leave that job, will you leave that job, right? So again, this all goes back to integrity and uncovering what you've been telling yourself, right? That's not true, any financially limiting thought or belief, and where you're out of integrity with yourself. This is a crucial key step in creating the prosperity, the financial results, the financial freedom that you want in your life, right? Because if you're not being honest with yourself, how are you ever going to get what you want, right? If you're telling yourself that, oh, I actually don't really want to take 4, 5, 6 vacations a year, but the truth is you really do, then how are you going to get there? You've got to be honest with yourself and what you want. If you're telling yourself that you're totally fulfilled and happy with your job and you're content where you're at, but the truth is you're really not, and it's eating away at you, like my job ate away at me for quite a while before I was honest with myself. I told this story of how I was a registered dietitian in the basement of a hospital. I lied to myself for a couple of years, and actually years even before that when I was in a different career. And I lied to myself, telling myself, oh, this is cool, this is fine, I'm good with this. This is all I need. I don't need to pursue anything bigger, better, greater, or whatever, right? I was lying to myself. I was out of integrity with myself. So check in with yourself. Where are you lying to yourself? Where are you out of integrity, out of alignment? Because the number one most important person to be in integrity with is you. That's it. You can lie to other people all day long. I'm not saying I recommend it, but you can, but don't lie to yourself, right? You got to be true to you. That is the most important person to be true to. So let's dive a little bit further into this topic of integrity. Check the group here. So integrity, I'm just going to give you the textbook dictionary.com definition of it, right? It's the state of being whole, entire, or undiminished. Again, integrity is the state of being whole, entire, or undiminished. So here's the thing, when you're not being honest with yourself, when you're no longer in integrity, you're actually no longer whole and complete as a person, right? You've fragmented yourself. And that might sound woo-woo or whatever, but this is, if you actually think of yourself as a whole being, and every time you're dishonest with yourself, or every time you push your dreams aside and tell yourself that you actually don't want to accomplish X, Y, and Z, you're actually fragmenting your wholeness, right? You're out of integrity, you're out of alignment with yourself. And the good news is when you're honest with yourself, you bring yourself back into that state of wholeness. You totally bring yourself back into integrity. And one thing that is really crucial to get here, and this is all as it relates to your relationship with prosperity. Integrity and prosperity go hand in hand. If you truly believe and want, right, to create more financial prosperity in your life, and you choose to ignore that, right, ignore that inspiration, that want, that passion, you're falling out of integrity with yourself, right? So this is important. An important thing to get. Here's a kind of a funny story / example. So when the last time Ike and I were hanging out with Gay and Katie Hendricks, I'm not sure if you know them, but they are in several of our films, and they're really amazing people. They're big focus is in the world of relationships and healthy, loving relationships, but they do a lot of other stuff too. Katie Hendricks, we were asking her about integrity one day, and she was talking about, I always remember, right? She's like, people, often think that, right, you're either like 100% in integrity all the time, like you're just a person of integrity 100% of the time and you never fall out of it, right? Or you're a complete mess, right? So can you relate to this? Is this maybe a thought or belief that you've had around integrity, right? I know it certainly has been one that I have had, and something that I have to apply the ROI process to, right? It's like, we don't all have to be perfectly in integrity all the time, right? It's a practice. So what Katie told me, right, about like, we don't have to be 100% in integrity all the time, right? Because it's just a practice. So, it's not true to think that anybody can 100% of the time, like, be walking that tightrope and never fall off to the side, right? Never fall off to the right or to the left, because we're human, right? We're always going to have these moments of falling off to the right, falling off to the left, right? It's a total practice. So, I mean, you can also think of practicing integrity as it relates to your prosperity, your relationship with money, as something like, right, working out at the gym, right? You're building your muscles at the gym gradually, right? You might go and you're not going to, have gigantic biceps, right when you first start doing bicep curls, right, it's going to take some time. Your muscles need to break down and tear, and then they need to rebuild, and you replenish all that with the food that you eat and the water you drink and all of that, right? The muscles are building gradually. So same thing with integrity. It's just a practice. So as you continue uncovering your blind spots, right, these areas where you're out of integrity with yourself, and applying the ROI process tool to these things, you're going to build those muscles. You're going to build the muscle of integrity. You're going to build the muscle of prosperity. All of these different things is what you're building as you continue to practice this. So going back to blind spots for a moment, our feed here. So each time you uncover a blind spot in your life, you're actually opening yourself up to a whole new reality in life, right? Every time you uncover a blind spot, an area of your mind, right, that you were totally not aware you weren't aware of has come into your awareness. So that reality before you became aware of that blind spot, it's not the same anymore, right? It's different now that you have shed light on that blind spot. So again, I encourage you, shine light on your blind spots. Keep uncovering those blind spots, because those are those things that are blocking your path to prosperity. They're blocking your path to that quality of life that you really want. So again, these coaching calls and this Facebook group and the Truth About Prosperity program, if you're doing it, is an opportunity for you to shine light upon your blind spots, right? So that you can experience that greater success and prosperity in your life. The opportunity you have is to recognize where you're out of integrity, right? Shine light on it. Oh, I'm out of integrity over here. I told myself this and I didn't do it, right? I'm out of integrity over here. I tell myself I'm happy with, having a job, and the truth is I'm not. I really want to be my own boss, and I would have such an amazing, powerful, exciting experience of life if I did that, right? So just shine light on where you're out of integrity with yourself, because you can always restore your integrity. You can never fall so far off the integrity tightrope that you can't restore it. You can always restore it. So, quick question, the very common question, right? It's like we have all these blind spots, financially limiting beliefs, blind spots, things we aren't aware of that are getting in our way of achieving more prosperity in our life. So how do we become aware of them, right? If there's this huge area of our minds that we're not aware of, how in the world do we become aware of them? Because we're blind to them. Simple as this. Start paying attention. Just start paying attention to what you're telling yourself, right? That's why a few minutes ago I had you pause, right, in the middle of the class, right, and just take a look. Oh, what thought is passing through my mind right now? This is you being aware of what you're thinking. That is what this is all about. So the way that you become aware of your blind spots is just to pay attention to what thoughts are coming in. Pay attention to what you believe. Pay attention to if you've, had something happen to you out here, you've reacted in a certain way, right? You've told yourself something in your mind that made you react in a certain way. What is it? Pay attention to it, right? Apply the ROI process to whatever this is that you're telling yourself. So, I like to give this example, and I mentioned this, I think, in class number 1, of the convertible story. Now, this was a big thing for me. I had this massive breakthrough in cars in my life, which was totally related to my relationship with prosperity. So let's see, hang on, let me flip through a couple things here. So my experience was, right, I grew up in a childhood that, if I had a car that was anything other than, right, very practical, not very nice, but gets down the road, it's not going to break down, but it can't be nice, right? If I had a car anything other than that, I grew up with the belief handed down from generations, right, that was showboating, right? Can anyone relate to this? That was not, it wasn't okay. It was showboating. I'd be showing off. You can't have a car that you really, really enjoy and lights you up and it's fun to drive and it's a great passionate experience and be practical at the same time, right? So this was the experience that I was living with. And so, man, I tell you, for years, I hated driving. I couldn't stand it. Like from the time I got my license to my early to mid 30s, I was just I hated driving. I despised it. I would take the bus places way back in my 20s. I would never hop in my car because I couldn't stand it. I didn't like it at all. And so, we tell this story in the Truth About Prosperity film series about Ike and I having the experience of spending some time in our friend's convertible. And we both were like, wow, well, this is really nice. This is a fun experience. This is a fun quality of life that we both wanted to experience, right? So again, I applied the ROI process tool to this, right? I took a look at this. My beliefs and my financially limiting beliefs around cars was getting in the way of what I truly wanted to experience in driving a car, right? In my quality of life, right? I was out of integrity with myself. What was true for me was I really wanted a convertible. Like, this was something that would be really fun and a great fun experience of quality of life for me. And so eventually, as I kept working through that, and it doesn't always happen overnight. So this is a very, it's an important thing for you to recognize as you're on this journey. Again, it's exercising the muscles of integrity. It's exercising the muscles of being honest with yourself, of applying the process tool to those limiting beliefs. So the more I applied this, the more I uncovered what was really going on up here around my showboating beliefs about cars. I was able to move past that, and we ended up, buying a convertible that happened to be a Toyota. So we had, the experience of the power of and, right? The convertible, which was this fun, great experience, and at the same time, very practical, right? A Toyota car, very practical. And we knew it wouldn't break down on the side of the road and all of that. So the whole point of this is, a lot of us, I think, tell ourselves, right, that we shouldn't want more, right? Can you relate to this? This is a very common example of a financially limiting belief that a lot of us have are, I shouldn't want more, right? Or I shouldn't want more than I need. This is really, really common. I have what I need, right? I can cover my food, water, and shelter, but I shouldn't want anything more than that. That's just frivolous, right? All of these stories. And again, this is a lot of social poverty programming, right? This is a lot of the stuff that has been inundated in our minds from society, from the shows we've watched as a child, from our parents, whatever it is. So just being aware of these things, and then breaking free from this is so exciting, and actually getting, well, this is our one life, right? This is the one life, this one precious life that we get to live here. Why not live it to the fullest, right? Why not have this amazing quality of life? So that's just an example of a blind spot I had around cars and how I was limiting my quality of life and my enjoyment, because now I'll tell you, I love driving. It's never a problem to hop in the car and drive the convertible, right? Put the top down, it's warm, it's beautiful. I love it. I love that my experience, all those hours that I was spending in a car before feeling like I was wasting my life away, now I can enjoy them. And that to me is quality of life. So just an example of a blind spot and uncovering it, recognizing what I was telling myself about, right, about cars, about it being showboating, that kind of stuff, was how I was able to uncover that blind spot. So, and you can do the same stuff. So let's take a look at our group here, make sure everything's rolling. So again, I'm going to go back to this one more time. The reason why I keep talking about the ROI process tool is because it is the cornerstone tool of all of the teachings I do around prosperity. This is how you can become aware of your blind spots. This is how you can tell the truth about those financially limiting beliefs and feel that ouch factor that we've talked about in order to create inspired ways of being, like being prosperous, being wealthy, being confident, whatever it is. And that's where those inspired actions become inspired and allow you to move forward in your life. So here's a really important thing for you to get. Someone mentioned something about this, which is a really important thing. So as you keep applying this ROI process tool, you might find something interesting happening. And I want to give you the heads up about this. So, right, when it comes to you, transforming your thoughts or seeing how your thoughts transform into the prosperity results that you experience in your life, the results you experience might not always turn out how you think they should, right? Or how you want them to. And this is really important to get, because this happens to all of us, right? We all experience things. We think it's going to happen this way, but it ends up happening that way, right? But this is a crucial choice point for you when this stuff happens. For example, like, right, if you're creating and working on, telling the truth about a disempowering thought, and you create an empowering thought like, I'm going to be successful and prosperous in my business. Like, I am super successful and prosperous in my business. This is awesome, right? This is a very empowering thought. If this is something that you believe wholeheartedly and you're going to take out into your world, you might be inspired to act in various ways, right, to produce the results that reflect that empowering thought. So you might do all sorts of different things in order to create the prosperity that results as a result of that empowering thought. But it's really important for you to get that results can vary, right? You're not always going to get the results that you think you will, right? We have no control ultimately over all of these results that we have in our life, right? So just get this, the results can vary. So you might, let's say you're focusing your attention on an empowering thought, right? The one I just gave you, right? Like, I am successful and prosperous in my business, and you experience an unexpected result, right? You maybe had the expectation that, say, 5 people, or I don't know, maybe 20 people were going to show up to some event you did, and only 5 people showed up, right? That was an unexpected result. You didn't expect that few people to show up. But hey, it goes the other way too. So it can be unexpected results that you're not necessarily happy with, like less results than you wanted, or maybe it's more, right? Maybe the following week you do an event and you're like, oh, there's probably going to be 5, 10 people there, and 100 people show up, right? So whatever it is, your results can vary. So just be open to results varying, right? It happens. So, and another thing is, if you have a result, if you get a result that you're not super happy about, right? Oh, I didn't, create as much prosperity on this product launch that I just did. So here's the thing, just be careful not to let the result, like a disappointing result, let's say it was disappointing to you, just be careful not to allow that to transform into disempowering thoughts, right? Be careful not to attach yourself to disempowering stories or thoughts based on that event, because all it is an event, right? That, oh, I didn't experience the financial results I thought I would, and you start telling yourself things like, I'm a failure, right? Or, oh, I knew it. I'm never going to become wealthy, or something like that, right? When you get results that are different than what you'd hoped for. One of my favorite Zig Ziglar quotes, and I may have shared it in a previous class, is that failure is an event, not a person, right? An event can happen that less people show up to your event than you wanted, right? But failure is an event. It's not a person. It's not who you are, unless, of course, once again, you choose to make that who you are. If you start telling yourself disempowering things like, I'm a failure, or I'll never succeed, then apply the process to that. Okay, so just be cautious, and when you're doing this, when you're applying the process to your life and you get some result that's not what you expected or whatever you thought it was going to be, just be patient. This stuff takes time. And I've mentioned this before too, right? The most successful people fail their way to the top. All the successful people in personal development, prosperity gurus, all these people out in the world that a lot of times you might think it's been easy, or, it comes easily to them, or they never fail. Well, they fail. We all do. It's just, how do they react to that failure? Do they take it personally and make it who they are, and therefore, start going in a downward spiral and not, becoming successful? Or do they just keep pushing forward? Well, the successful people keep pushing forward. That's what it's all about, right? Like, if you look at an example of when you were a child, right, and you're learning to walk, if you're a baby learning to walk, right, you're falling over time and time again. You're bumping your head, you're bumping your knee, you cry, you get back up again, right? That's life, right? But when we're a baby, we don't create these stories of, well, I'm a failure at walking, right? That stuff doesn't happen in the mind of a child, right? In the mind of a child, they have a bump, and they're very present to that. They might cry, and then they get back up again, and then they keep rolling, right? And they forget, they don't even pay attention to the fact that that just happened, right? But when we get older as adults, a lot of times things happen in life, events happen, and we tell ourselves something that's disempowering. We create these, what we think are these concrete stories, right, about ourselves, like, I'm a failure. It's a very concrete story we've created for ourselves, right, that we can't even, there's no space to move around in that, because we're a failure, right? And these stories we create disempower us. So, and one of the, as you probably guessed it, right, one of the most common areas in life that people create these disempowering stories around is money. It's huge to see how many disempowering stories and thoughts and beliefs and limitations people set around the topic of money, right? So here's a quote that I want to share with you. I love this quote. It's by Niels Bohr. So an expert is a person who has made all the mistakes that can be made in a very narrow field. I'll say it one more time. An expert is a person who has made all the mistakes that can be made in a very narrow field, right? This is just the same kind of thing I was saying before, right? That the most successful people have failed their way to the top, right? Successful people, you included, makes mistakes. You're going to keep making them, and you're going to keep learning from them and keep pushing forward. So again, I just wanted to touch on this whole thing about results varying, because someone had a question about it this week, and I think it's so important to get, because it's be cautious as you apply the ROI process to these financially limiting beliefs that you're uncovering through this program. Just get that as you start taking actions and start creating results, your results can vary. Not everything is going to happen exactly how you think it should, right? We all have a lot of ideas of how we think it should happen, or how fast we think it should happen, right? The get rich quick mindset, all of that kind of stuff. If that happens for you, that is awesome and amazing, and that's fantastic, and results can vary. It might not happen like that for you, right? It's a stepwise journey for most of us. So let me check our feed. I think I had someone post something here. All right. Good, good, good. All right. So after learning, right, what we've been talking about for the past, I don't know, half hour or so, right, in today's class about uncovering these blind spots, this is just another way of saying, this goes back to the ROI process tool. It's another way of just saying you're uncovering what you're telling yourself, right? So just keep applying the ROI process to what you're telling yourself. Blind spots and what you tell yourself are the same thing, right? Here's a blind spot. You start to become aware of it because you're paying attention to what you tell yourself. And that I tell yourself phrase, whatever it is, I'm not worthy of more money. Money is the root of all evil. I'm not good at making money. Whatever it is that you tell yourself that's financially limiting, apply the process to it. Just keep applying the process to it. And again, I keep telling you this because the more you do this, the more you allow yourself to practice this and just keep practicing this, the more freedom you're going to experience in your mind, in your pocketbook, right, in your purse. This is where the financial results come from. You've got to start. You've got to apply this tool if you haven't started already. And again, share this with us. You know, this last week I gave you guys homework to share your ROI process with us, whether that was you downloaded the worksheet that I had posted a couple of classes ago and you sent it to me. A lot of people sent it to me via private message, and I looked through it and was able to, you know, shed light on it and help you, you know, work through some of the kinks if you had any or whatever it was. Share it with us. And if you're open to it, we totally encourage you to share it in the group, because then other people can see it. You can relate to what everyone else is saying, and you can help coach each other through this. Help see yourself in everybody else. So I am going to open it up to questions again. I wanted to, again, keep this class a tiny bit shorter since I keep giving you loads and loads of information here. So I am looking for questions to see if anybody has any. Let's see. And we have one more class. So next week, the class will be more than likely on Sunday or Monday, and I will post to the Facebook group to let you know when that class is, and I'll be sending out newsletters also to remind you when the next class is. So this is week 3, and we would love to hear from you. Again, we've heard some really awesome, amazing comments from you, things that have just totally, you know, touched my heart. I'll tell you, you know, Nikki posted something in the group a few days ago, and oh, it still gives me the chills to even think about it today. And you can read it. Nikki Smith had posted something about a breakthrough she had, and this is the power of this stuff. So keep sharing with us, keep sharing with each other. And again, private message me and Ike if you prefer to do it that way. So I'm not seeing any questions at the moment. So I am going to sign off unless I see anything pop in. But again, you can ask questions any point in time, and Ike and I are paying attention to the Facebook group every day, and or you can post something in the group or post something to us individually as well. So yeah, I'm not seeing anything right now, so I will leave you to it, but we'll see you again next week. And again, take advantage of the opportunity. ask any question that you possibly can ask, or just make a comment, or whatever it is. We are here to answer your questions and to help you work through this. And if you would do another piece of homework this week, same thing as last week, because once again, this ROI process tool is incredibly powerful. So if you didn't do it last week, and or if you did do it last week and you want to do it again this week, send me your process. Send me again, I posted the ROI process worksheet in the Facebook group a couple of weeks ago, and you can download it and you can fill it out. You type it right into the form fields. They're fillable form fields, and send it over. Even if you're not quite sure what you're doing or you need help with it, send over what you have, and I'm totally happy to help you break through those financially limiting beliefs. So I will see you again next week on the next live call. And if you have any questions between now and then, please Facebook us. We will talk to you again very soon. And I will sign out, and have a great rest of your week, everybody. Take care.